Good morning. How are you today? Well, it's windy in Virginia and a little chilly, so we're approaching the winter. It's going to happen. And with the wind today, there's a story in Virginia where wind turbines have been talked about, in part because if we had them up and down the East Coast, they could actually serve our energy needs, period. In fact, in excess. And with the development of batteries and so forth, it becomes a much more reliable source of energy. And so what are we doing about that? Well, there's a proposal to put together wind turbines, and they figure that they can serve 660,000 homes. And the trade-off is that in exchange, you won't be producing 5 million tons of carbon dioxide, which promotes global warming. And our struggle these days is to try to reduce our reliance on fossil fuels so that we can slow and stop the global warming effect, which is having such a disastrous outcome worldwide. There's also a report from the White House that former Senator Kerry, former Secretary of State Kerry, who's working energy policy around the world, says that we probably can't be effective unless we can find a way to partner with China, so large an entity that can't be ignored, either constructively or destructively. So we could have 5.2 gigawatts, and that would be pretty substantial. And we're talking about an industry, in the next number of years that could be $23 trillion, that is, building these turbines and all the things that are necessary to go with it. In fact, it's kind of amusing, those of you who follow Greek myths, you may remember Charybdis. Charybdis is a god that literally sucks you into the earth. And in the Odyssey, one of my favorite books, we have Odysseus comes to a point where he has to navigate between Scylla and Charybdis. Charybdis, on the one hand, that might suck his ship to destruction. And the other side is Scylla, which is it barks like a dog, but has a 12-foot neck and comes down and eats individual sailors in whole. So how do you navigate that? And Jason did with the help of the gods, but Odysseus didn't have such good luck, although he was told to drive closer to Scylla. Better to lose a few seamen than to lose your whole ship. Well, Charybdis is the name of the ship that they're going to be using for putting up these towers. Kind of ironic, because I see the project as having the opposite purpose. But somebody probably just thought Charybdis was a cool name. In Virginia, in the final hours of the race, what's becoming important is author Toni Morrison's book, The Beloved. And it's an interesting book, fiction, although supposedly based on a true story, which no doubt invokes her great talents. And it's been assigned in high school advanced placement English. And a million years ago, I was in advanced placement English, and we had some terrific readings, and some of which were distressing, the writing style, the story. And I think it's part of growing up. Today, maybe they have social media. But in my day, as a kid, I was in the library all the time. And you could read everything. It was just fabulous. And I don't know how many kids read today. Although there's the local coffee shop I go to, and there's this young lady sitting there. She has books, that thick, that she's reading. And I saw her reading Thomas Mann the other day, and I said, well, that's not a casual read. Magic Mountain, famous book, very depressing, beautifully written, very popular in its time because of consumption. So what are we doing about The Beloved? Well, the protest is, and maybe it's because Toni Morrison is a black author, given the source, and it's turned into a campaign issue that our children shouldn't read that book. can book burnings be far behind? Do these people know any history? Do they know anything about free thought? Apparently not. And some are very anxious because in a narrow race for McAuliffe to become governor again after the interregnum, when he could not be because of restrictions on successive terms for gubernatorial candidates, Youngkin is citing this as, see, our parents should be able to tell what our kids read, opting out. My parents never objected to anything I read, ever. And I didn't have access to anything like the social media that has really terrible stuff, of course. So I don't get it. And I don't know how you expect to grow and be an adult if at some age it isn't suitable for you to read and understand these things, the horror and the terrible things that happen. The story, by the way, is the challenge of a mother to kill her daughter rather than she suffer enslavement. Now, is this the feminine version of Abraham killing his son, Abba Rahim, a father of a multitude? And isn't the book a metaphor for what is the trade-off for a life? To suffer slavery or to not have to live it at all? That's the question in the book. And it's only these morons who have no idea what a book is about. I read books that had as terrible or much terrible things. I read Mein Kampf, which is not fiction at all. It's the mutterings and belief of a crazed dictator, whom some of these people think is terrific, Hitler. So there's that. Where are the Republicans themselves in upcoming elections? Well, with the recent disclosures, some of the Republican leaders are getting anxious that the 7 morons on the Hill who helped the rioters may help pull down the ticket, and their extreme views, the kind of disinformation they spread all the time, may not be good for the brand Republican. You would hope not, but you never know these days. And Manchin and our, what are we going to do for infrastructure? Well, he doesn't want to have anything happen with emissions, really. And he's opposed to some of the Medicare reforms. Is he the Grinch that stole Christmas, or is he the Grinch that stole liberty, or is he both? I say both. So that's kind of the stuff that's on my mind today. I think there is nothing like being out here in the nature, walking on a road barely tread by anyone else while you're on it. A few cars drive by. I've seen no people walking here. And of course the time varies, but almost never is there anybody else here. Although there are others who do exactly what I'm doing. So find your own peace. As a kid, I would sit on a fire escape with a blanket on it, like it was my porch, and especially when I was at Columbia. And I also walked in the nearby parks, and there were a lot of them, although Morningside Park was called Muggingside Park. So it was a little more dangerous. But I think as a man, if you look robust, and I have no reason to think it isn't true for women, but I wasn't bothered. Once when I broke my leg and went through a park, these guys stopped me, and I happened to actually have cash for change, and they took it. Life is a challenge. It's not for the fearful or the cowardly. And you just have to make the most of it. And there are a lot of people these days that are occupied with destruction, disloyalty, disinformation. And that's not us. We can't let that be us. So have a good day. I'll be back tomorrow. I'm visiting the dentist today, sometime late in the day. That won't be fun, but it's usually constructive. All the best. Bye-bye.